So two major cabinet votes happening on Capitol Hill this morning. Let's take a live look at senators in the hearing room where they will vote on FBI Director nominee Kash Patel. Lawmakers are expected to take turns speaking and then vote on Patel's nomination later this morning. Also on the schedule for today, a full Senate vote on Health and Human Services Secretary nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr. RFK Jr. cleared a required procedural vote along party lines yesterday. In protest of the pick, a group of Democrats staged an all-night marathon of speeches on the Senate floor, but that effort won't likely change the outcome of today's vote. Joining us now, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, tell us more about what we're going to see play out in the next hour or two.
Well, Mika, what we're going to see play out here on Capitol Hill is Donald Trump getting exactly what he wants and Senate Republicans giving him exactly what he wants. Despite the fact that he had a long list of controversial picks to his administration, it seems as though every single one is going to sail through confirmation, the only exception being Matt Gaetz, who pulled himself out of the process very early on in the beginning before it even really got going. Every single one of these cabinet picks who have received even a bit of mild opposition have seen that opposition melt away over this confirmation process, despite the fact that some of them have had very rocky confirmations, have not been able to answer basic questions from Republicans that have been pressing them on many of these issues. We are seeing each and every one of them confirmed. Of course, Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed just a couple of days ago. She was sworn in yesterday. Today it will be Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who will be on the House floor at around, the Senate floor around 10:30 today, where he may get one Republican voting against him. He can afford to lose 3 Republican votes and still win confirmation. We saw Lisa Murkowski of Alaska announce overnight that she will indeed vote yes on his confirmation. So he's seemed to have assuaged the concerns of moderate Republicans who feel that his anti-vaccine stance, his refusal to walk back the debunked links that he's made between vaccines and autism, they don't seem concerned about that. They believe that he's going to follow Donald Trump's agenda, particularly when it comes to vaccines, and so they feel comfortable giving him control of the $1.7 trillion HHS budget, which includes responsibilities over departments like the CDC and the FDA. And then, of course, you have Kash Patel, who is expected to make it through committee without much Republican opposition, if any at all. And Mika, I've been really surprised at the lack of pushback from Republicans when it comes to Kash Patel. This was someone that was very intrinsically involved in the Stop the Steal efforts and the overturning of the 2020 election, at least the attempts to overturn the 2020 election. He's also been very open about how he believes that Donald Trump should seek retribution in this term after what he went through while he was out of office and the attempts to indict him and convict him of crimes related to January 6th and classified documents and other things. During his confirmation process, where we saw some pushback against RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard by Republicans, there was almost no pushback whatsoever on Kash Patel. We've not heard any Republicans stand up and say that they have issues or concerns about his past, even when it comes to his lack of experience in a position like this, but also just the controversial statements that he's made. Republicans just do not seem to be concerned about that at all. And that comes against the backdrop of this purge that we're already seeing take place at the FBI, where many career agents who have worked for the agency for a long time have been removed from their jobs. And there also appears to be an appearance of specifically getting rid of those agents that were involved in any of the investigations related to Donald Trump. So Patel's hearing today is baked for the most part. He will make it through that hearing, but Democrats will have one last chance to make their voice known on this, and we expect it to be a 2-hour process where they will get the opportunity to speak and raise their concerns about Kash Patel. But at the end of the day, as we said at the beginning of this, Mika, Donald Trump is going to get what he wants, and Republicans seem willing to comply.
Ryan, quick two-parter for you. One, I know in the beginning of this process, before some of the president's more divisive recent moves, there was a thought that some Democrats, at least a couple, might vote for Kennedy. Let us know if you've heard anything about that. And then secondly, just I want to float a theory past you that I've been hearing the last couple of days, that as we see the Republicans be completely compliant with all of Trump's picks, no matter how controversial or unqualified they are, the thought is the only reason why Matt Gaetz didn't get through was not because he couldn't do the job, but just because he had angered so many of them over the years.
Yeah, two great questions, Jonathan. On the first one, the message we're getting from Senate Democrat leadership is that they do not think that there will be a single yes vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. From the Democrats. Of course, anything can change once they get to the floor and actually cast their vote, but we do not expect a single Democratic vote yes for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And in terms of Matt Gaetz, I think there is a lot to be said about that, Gaetz just did not have very many friends on Capitol Hill, and there was not a willingness to stand up for him in the way that they're willing to stand up for some of these other nominees, just because of the personal animus that they had for Matt Gaetz. I think a lot of Republicans are very concerned about the lack of qualifications and the history of some of these cabinet nominees, but they also don't want to take on Donald Trump and spend their political capital in a vein like this. Matt Gaetz was the exception there, and it had a lot to do with his lack of credentials and the things that he had said in the past, but it also had to do that they just didn't like him as a human being. And so I think that played a big role in why you saw him take such an early exit, because it was messaged to Donald Trump and the transition at that time that this just wasn't, this was a non-starter. It just wasn't going to happen, and that's why he pulled out so quickly.
Ryan, it's Allie. You're absolutely right, of course, about the personal blending with the political when it came to Gaetz. But I wonder if you view this moment where we saw all Republicans fall in line, despite any reservations they might have had on nominees, does that portend the same kind of a vibe, really, as they try to move forward and start legislating on things like taxes and immigration, ideas where there is a wide range from within the Republican conference, but are they all just probably going to get on board anyway? Is that what this foretells for the future?
100%, Allie. I think the lesson of this confirmation process is that this Congress, both the Republican House and Senate, for all intents and purposes, are owned by Donald Trump. He will call the shots. If there is any opposition, it will be mild and it will likely be muted. The message has been sent from the White House that if you attempt to buck what Donald Trump wants to get done, there will be a political consequence to that. We saw that play out initially with the Pete Hegseth nomination. And I think that was the breaking point for Senate Republicans. There were a lot of Senate Republicans who privately were very concerned about Pete Hegseth's nomination and in some ways actively worked to undermine his nomination. But then when push came to shove and they were held to account, they backed down. The one thing that Donald Trump's not going to allow Senate Republicans in particular, but House Republicans as well, is to try and engineer these things behind closed doors. If Donald Trump comes out publicly and says that he wants something, if you're going to be a member of Congress that's going to vote against it, you're going to have to go to the floor of the House or Senate and vote no. You're not going to just be able to message to the White House that this is a bad idea and think that they're going to step back. That's just not going to happen. Now, this is going to get complicated, Allie, as you well know, having covered this place for so long, because the nitty-gritty details here, especially when it comes to a budget process, reconciliation, and then separately government funding, which those are two completely different buckets, there are a lot of different stakeholders and different desires and different needs from different places in both the House and Senate that are going to butt up against each other. And where Donald Trump may not have specific desires or needs or concerns, and I think that's where the breakdown is going to come. The fight here is going to be between Republicans against themselves in the House and Senate that are separate from the desires of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to get what Donald Trump wants. The question is what they deliver to him in that package and how that plays itself out, where I think you're going to see a lot of the battles here in Congress over the next 3 to 6 months.
For sure. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, thank you very much.